start with Trey Taylor, who's coming in. He's a guy, you've had him for a long time. How have you seen him change over the years that he's been here?
I think, goodness. I mean, he's always been really bright, mature beyond his years. Just a great work ethic, tremendous attitude. Probably the most noticeable, and I kind of said this the other day, is just, being a little more dialed into the little things, the details that can help him, whether it's a first step, whether it's not wasted motion, knowing how to disguise before you're going to a middle third. Just those tiny little things that help make you a better football player. He understands more of those. But just great energy.
And he's, in terms of recognition from the outside in the preseason, we haven't seen this from a safety since Weston Steelhammer. I bring that up because Weston's senior year, Brody Hicks had a big year, partly because defenses were very aware of him and were, not taking shots where Weston was. Do you think that could be a case this year because of his reputation?
I don't know. That I don't know.
Have you seen that in football generally when you do get a safety who gets that reputation?
I will say this. When we were in Denver in 2005 and we had Champ Bailey at one corner and the other corner was Darrent Williams, so there were more balls going that way, and, he had a lot of action because of it. So certainly I think, somewhat similar at safety too, sure.
Okay. And then on the offensive line, Adam Carris, another Colorado guy, as I think we've talked about with him. What does he bring to the table as a athlete or as a cadet and everything else?
Yeah. Another guy like Trey, those guys are really strong students out of high school. I think the part that's neat about Adam, he could play left tackle, he could play right tackle. This is our versatility week. So this week he's at guard. He's one of those guys where we put in a different spot just so once we get into the season with various personnel groupings, we want to try to get our best 11 on the field. So it helps having a guy that's pretty astute as a football player too.
How's he in the weight room?
Good, really good. I think what's helped him the most over about the last 22 months or so, he's been able to lift every single day. And here, if you will lift each day and you will practice each day, you're going to develop as a football player.
And having the Colorado guys, I saw Aaron Burr, how do you say his name? Aaron Burr, and then the two Palmers, and then him. What kind of advantage does that give the program just to have? I know they have host families, but to have just places to go hang out as teammates.
It does. I think so. They naturally bring teammates over. I remember Jim and Suzanne Healy. They had, those two guys, Pat and Connor, they were good players for us, but I think they made plenty of pancakes for others, just guys that were strewn out on the floor and didn't take much other than a blanket. And it is neat to have that proximity that way.
When you were here, was there somebody like that you could?
I don't know if we had that many Colorado guys in hindsight. We've been really purposeful in this state and in this area. One, I think the state's grown so much, in terms of population. I think especially the last 20 years. The other part, the emphasis on football at the younger ages, that there are more guys that we can recruit. And the other part, candidly, we have some really, really good school systems. And for us, that is the starting point. And there's some of us in here that our children have been the beneficiaries of that too.
And I doubt special uniforms are really something that really fires you up, but any thoughts on this year's theme and the look?
Yeah, this really, really fires me up. To answer it, Jimmy Doolittle, who doesn't know about what happened on April 1942 and just what it did not only for the morale of our armed forces, but our country. And the way that spilled over to, those in Europe and the UK that, okay, if we're going to get in the fight, we're going to go for it. And that crew did that with the Doolittle raid. And, it's kind of ironic. I was thinking about 3 weeks ago, we went to a movie. We went to the movie, with the bomb. And And it just made me even realize, just think of the courage, the skill, the guts of Paul Tibbetts. I mean, everybody talks about what happened with the development of it, but my goodness, Paul Tibbetts and his crew, and were there some times where he was a little bold? Absolutely, in his career, in his Air Force career. But I'd highly encourage you. I don't know if any of you enjoyed that movie or not, but if so, then you ought to go watch Above and Beyond. And I know it's a movie, but truly there's an awful lot of factual part of it that involves Paul Tibbetts too.
With things being a little bit different this year, like the alternate uniforms, I'm wondering what your thoughts are about playing at Empower Field this season as well.
You know what? It's an additional venue that our guys have an opportunity to experience, and we're going to make the most of it. It's a ways out there. We aren't looking at it right now.
Okay, I'm wondering, Coach, if you would prefer your team to be a little bit under the radar going into the season, or if you want this team to be more of a respected team when it comes to how your opponents look at you.
I never gain or lose a wink of sleep over that because it doesn't matter, right? I mean, it doesn't.
On Saturday we talked a little bit about possibly not having that guy at quarterback, potentially having multiple guys at that position this season. When do you think your team will know who those guys are, and how early do you start preparing for?
I think they already know. I mean, those three guys, being Ben Britton, Jensen Jones, and Zach Larrier, they're the ones that are out there running with the initial group. So our guys are aware that any one of those three could go play for us, and I believe they can too, and I believe they will. At least two of those guys are going to play a good chunk of snaps by the time we conclude this season.
Y'all are pretty fresh into practice, and I know last year y'all are super strong senior class. What have you seen so far from this year's senior class that makes them special?
Well, you just have so many more new parts this year. Really, you look up front. Thor Paglialong's played a good bit of ball. Wesley Ndagos played some football. He got hurt at the end of last year. And then Adam and Ethan Jackman have played some. Just with both those tight ends not out, Kyle Patterson or Caleb Rillos right now not in there. We just, the receivers, both, Amari Terry and David Cormier not being there, and then obviously a good number of the ball carriers too. And then on the flip side, there's really only one person up front that's returned, being Peyton. And there's just so much to it. I think probably in regards to communication more than anything else. And it's invaluable if Troy gives me a heads up about, hey, when I'm stepping with my right foot here, give me a little clearance. And he says, hey, you know what, I'm going to go out here and block the outside backer. You take care of the defensive end. It sounds elementary, but that's how, if you do that just day in, day out over time, especially years, God, you operate more efficiently and more aggressively, quite frankly, too. We're not there yet. It doesn't mean you can't make some progress in that direction, and we will, too.
Coach, I know you mentioned 3 different guys getting some snaps at quarterback, potentially running with 2, but ideally, would you like one of them to kind of run above the pack and kind of take the reins, and just for leadership purposes, or no?
We don't live in an ideal world. As every day is different, and the one constant is change, right? I mean, it's a dynamic world.
And John Lee Eldridge, I had to follow up. I believe he got engaged, correct? At the bowl game last year. That was an exciting moment that I know a lot of us witnessed in here. How is he developing on the field? And then has he got married, Do you have any wedding invites?
Not married yet. I haven't found out how's the engagement process. I'll ask that maybe today. So if you want to ask me next time, maybe I can give you a little more detail there. Or as the kids say, the deets on that one. What's neat is, he's a guy that, again, this week, we're playing some guys in different spots. And this week, starting yesterday, he moved back to the fullback spot. and that's where he's going to work all this week. And so, having versatility, maybe being able to return a kickoff, being able to handle inside runs, some perimeter runs, those are ways certainly where he's got a chance to help us.
And then do you know if Brad Roberts is in contact with any of your guys or with you? I know he attended some of the earlier preseason, of course, pro day and all of that, but how much does he keep in contact with the team?
Oh, he will. I mean, he'll share plenty. And when we get to that point, he provides a little extra coaching that way in a really positive manner. He will.
Awesome. And my last question, you touched on it already, but Jordan Jackson, getting to see him get some solid time with the Broncos, what was that like for you as a former head coach watching
As
him?
soon as you say it, why does something feel a little different on my neck? I mean, that was, like I said the other day, it was just absolutely splendid. Clearly the work that he's put in, just the strength, the instant movement, being able to play a few different spots, and just knowing the caliber, the quality of a young man. Yeah, I was really, really fired up for him.
It's a unique thing with the quarterbacks that all three of them are also seniors. Yeah, as you're kind of overseeing big picture things, how much do you concern yourself with the fact that they would all be gone next year in all likelihood? And then how are you worrying about the development of the guys behind them?
Well, the younger guys will not lack for investment, to say the least. And I think if you went to some of those guys in the freshman class and sophomore class and asked them, do you get a good bit of interaction with Coach Thiessen and exposure to the offense and snaps, they absolutely do. And that's imperative not only because maybe if something were to certainly occur this fall, but hopefully the glide, the springboard into, what happens in February and March too, to help them that way. There's nothing we can do about that. We're a little bit unique that way where it's not like, okay, all of a sudden in January we say, all right, let's go find a couple of guys that are in the portal. Or all right, hey, this fall we aren't junior college recruiting. Not to take away, I mean that respectfully, but we're not going to do that, and we're just not doing that. And so the next guys that come through, if they really love football, they'll see opportunity.
And then back to the line real quick with the adjustments you've had to make in terms of personnel. From the outside looking in, you've nailed the two hires you've made on offensive line coach. Can you kind of expand on how you found both of them and what they've meant to the program?
Yeah, absolutely. Really, Clay came from a really strong recommendation from Tim Horton. This would have been back in January of 2007. And then with Lobo, we worked together at Ohio University for a good number of years and then at Wake Forest University. And obviously a perfect match for here, not only in terms of being a really good player here. He was a first-team all-conference player. But his organization, just the teaching and the organization and the candor, he's exceptional.
And with what you run, how important is it to have full trust in that position?
Well, you do. You look here, your practices are a little more, they're going to be more concise here just because we don't do anything in the mornings. The guys usually don't walk into the building till about 1:30. And they have to be out of the building, fairly early here because of what's required with academic call to quarters. And so you have shorter meeting time, you have shorter practice time. So everything that you do covered, it has to be exceptionally well planned. And there's nothing little that gets by Lobo, I can assure you.
When he was coaching tight ends, was he also kind of looking in on the line at all?
He wasn't. It was solely involved with tight ends. Now, he certainly had an extensive background coaching the offensive line. You look, Ali, in the last 50 years, Wake Forest has won ACC championship where they played in the Orange Bowl. And who was the offensive coordinator and the offensive line coach? It was Steve Labotsky.
Well, and because of that resume, how fortunate do you feel to have someone like that coaching a position?
In times, many, many, many times over. And I'll tell you, one of the most enjoyable parts of really what we do is when our O-line gets with our defensive line, my goodness, the strength of those coaches with Alex Means and E.J. Whitlow and Steve Labotsky, and the quality of the teaching and the quality of the communication. God, you learn so much. I do. I learn so much every single day from each one of those three.
Okay. And any update on the NCAA process to get approval?
It's going to be a while.
Okay. And you're coaching fullback still, right? So will you get a little extra hands-on with John Lee Eldridge this week?
I will. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely will. And, we had him there most of spring. He was at that spot, and we had him yesterday, and I thought his recall was pretty good. There's still some little things here or there, maybe on plays where he lined up a little deep, but he'll pick that up. And I'm gonna tell you, we are gonna pour it on him this week, especially when it comes to, we're gonna try to hit it overload in terms of the amount that he's got to try to digest in regards to information. And he's eager. He's got an unbelievable passion and desire to learn. And anytime you have a receptive student, golly, they're fun to teach.
And what about skill set in terms of running inside and just the different?
I really don't. That doesn't concern me at all. I just look at his strength and his power. There are some things maybe on an inside trap where you have to be able to trust that for the most part it goes straight ahead. And does it take maybe a day or two when you're catching so many perimeter pitches? Is there a little bit of a mindset but it doesn't, it won't take months for him to get back in that mode that way.
I'll start by asking how your summer's been, Adam.
Yeah, my summer was good. It was really relaxing, my most relaxing summer so far. Got to work sports camp, so helped out with some kids' sports, and yeah, it was really good.
Coach talks a lot about all the newness coming onto the offensive line. Are you one of the starters that's returning? Because he always mentions 4 out of 5 are going to be new to the starting line.
Yeah, so last year I rotated with Caleb Holcomb, the other right tackle, so we split all the reps. So it's kind of like 3.5 starters returning, I guess you could say. So, yeah.
How are you kind of gauging your guys' growth in the last couple of weeks and leading into your first game, already just a few weeks away?
Yeah, so we're getting really close to the first game, but I think we're growing a lot as a team so far, and we still have 3 weeks before we step onto the field. So I think there's a lot of room for improvement and just to keep working.
Thoughts on the alternate uniforms that were just released on social media?
Yeah, I just saw them actually, just before coming in here, and I thought they looked really good. I love the all white and the chrome. They did a really good job.
I saw you are a Colorado State champion from Pomona High School.
Yeah.
And you guys are going back to play at Empower Field later this year. I know that's quite a ways away, but will that be your first time going back and playing there, and just your thoughts on playing in that arena again?
Yeah, so it will be the first time I've been back there since the high school state game, but I don't know. It's such a cool stadium, such a great experience. And we got to play at the UNLV stadium last year, which is where the Raiders play. So just playing in those professional stadiums, it's just a cool experience for us to do.
You guys had a really strong core group last year at O-line. How has that continued to develop, and is there anything that you maybe take away from some of those guys that left last year to this year?
Yeah, so this last year we only lost Isaac Cochran, and he was a really good player and really great guy. But it's really nice, too, to keep a majority of the guys together. And we've all been together for 3 years now, going on our 4th year. So just our chemistry is really good, and everyone in the O-line room at this point. And I don't know, it's all friendship, you know what I mean? So it's a good time.
And being a Colorado kid, why was Air Force your, first choice? And Coach was kind of mentioning how it's nice having Colorado kids on the team just to be the anchor and kind of makes everyone else feel a little bit more at home. Do you feel that way?
Yeah, for sure I do. For me, it was really a choice to come here for the school and for the athletics. Being in Colorado was just another perk, I guess, being close to home, being able to leave on weekends. And it is really nice to have a bunch of Colorado guys on the team because, on the weekends when we do get time off, some of those guys can come over to our houses or just be close and have, our parents take us out to dinner. So it's just little things like that that make it a lot nicer.
And I know your guys' job is obviously always important, but especially with the way the offense you guys run. How have you seen John Eldridge maybe step into the shoes of Brad Roberts? Have you noticed his growth at all this year?
Yeah, I think John has always been a really hard ball carrier. He runs extremely well, and I think he's going to take over some of those carries really well. So I'm not worried about John at all.
And then last question, thoughts on the quarterback battle? You guys have 3 guys kind of in the running for that. As a teammate, would you like to see kind of one of them just so you guys have that go-to guy, or how's that been as one of their teammates?
I think as a teammate, I just want the best guy to come through and play for us against, all the teams this year. So I don't necessarily care who it is. I love all those guys, Ben, Jensen, and Zach. They're all really good friends of mine. So whoever comes out on top, I'll be happy for.
As a tackle, when you had an opening created, whenever Smalley didn't come back, how did that kind of change your mindset? Did you change anything knowing, whoa, we got a spot open, you're probably not going to share time, you're probably going to own one of the positions this year?
I didn't really change anything in my mindset, I guess. I mean, we've always just been locked in. So you put forward the same amount of effort in practice no matter if you're rotating or if you're going to be the pure starter no matter what. So nothing in my mindset really changed. I've always tried to look at it the same way no matter what.
And how has that impacted the chemistry? You went from having 4 spots returning to 3, which isn't a giant deal, but it's still something. Has it impacted the chemistry at all?
I don't think it has too much, just because we're all seniors at this point. We've been together for 3 years and we all know each other. So it's not really a learning curve too much. And Wes has been the left guard. And before I moved over to right tackle last year, I was actually like Everett's backup at the left tackle. So me and Everett kind of were the left tackles our sophomore year. And so I was already playing with Wes. And so we've picked back up on our communication and everything. It hasn't been much of a learning curve.
Okay. So you're playing the left spot this year?
Yes, sir.
Okay, got it. And Coach Lobo, he's the only offensive line coach you've had here, right? He's been here that long now?
Yeah, I think he's been here since 2015.
Okay, wow. So been okay. Sorry, time goes fast. What kind of a coach is he? Like, is there much motivation or is it more instruction? Kind of, how would you describe his style?
It's a good mix for sure. It's not overly like complicated on either side. He's really smart, and the meetings are always focused on like technique, and they never get like really intense. But I think that's good for a lot of guys to actually be focused on what we're learning instead of just being like yelled at or harshly graded upon. But he also is a good motivator because at the beginning of every meeting he'll talk to us about something at the beginning of the week or something we need to work on. So it's a good balance, I think.
And having you all be seniors, you've had that instruction for 4 years. Like, do you know this stuff inside and out? Could you play this position blindfolded? And like, what kind of advantage is it that you've all been in the program that long?
Yeah, like you said, you just know the offense a lot better, especially like the triple option. It can be pretty complicated. And I've had the luxury of moving around positions and playing guard, tackle, and tight end. So I feel like I know it pretty well by now. For the other guys that haven't moved, they know their spot like the back of their hand, and like you're saying, you pretty much do it blindfolded. But that's what makes it good, because during the game day, you're not as stressed out.
And, she mentioned the game in Denver. Being a senior and having the stadium under renovation, is it kind of a bummer, to have home games that are going to be a little bit different and it's going to be a bit of a construction mess for your final year at home? Or is the consolation prize of playing in Denver and playing in Houston at, their stadium, like, is it all going to, on balance, be okay?
Yeah, I'm super excited to play in those professional stadiums, and I'm excited for that. But I do think the renovations they're doing at the stadium are going to be so worth it. I've seen the plans for it, and I think they're all over the social media and stuff. They look really good, so I'm not really too bummed about the construction. I think in the long run, it's just going to be good. So when I come back and watch games, it'll be really exciting.
Okay. So you're willing to pay the short-term price for the good of the program?
Yeah.
Okay, and then real quick, back to the bringing guys home over the weekends because you live here. How important is that to do you see for them, to have a place where you can legitimately relax away from here, And I know they have host families and whatnot, but do you see real value in the way guys are able to decompress when they go to your house or other guys' houses?
Yeah, for sure. It's just getting away from this place sometimes is just all you need, no matter really where you go. Like a sponsor family, I think it's essential just to take a step away and kind of decompress for a minute, even if it's for an hour or two. But coming to my house and just having my mom loves to feed all the guys and everything. So when they do come up, it's a good time.
What's the most she's fed at one time?
I think about 5, not including me. So 6, and then my brother. So, yeah.
And speaking of eating, size-wise, what are you playing at right now?
I'm about 280 to 285. Yeah.
What did you play at last year?
Like 275, high 270s.
Wow. How'd you gain the extra weight?
So I played guard a little bit during spring ball, and so they told me to move up a little bit in the weight, and I had 7 months to put on a couple pounds, so it wasn't really too much of a
Is that like
change.
a free ticket to go crazy with food, or do you have to be pretty smart about it?
Yeah, I mean, you have to be smart about it, but it is nice though knowing that you don't have to be super strict 7 days a week. Especially here, you're burning calories every second just with school and then all the athletics. So there is a little wiggle room for not a strict diet.
What have you indulged in the most?
I guess Sunday my mom brought back a peanut butter pie from Costco, so I definitely had a slice or two of that.
Nice.
I have one more question. Cool. I'm just wondering what your thoughts are. What you see from Trey Taylor. You played with him now for a couple of years. We're about to talk to him. He's on a bunch of awards watch lists now, so just your take on who he is as a player.
Yeah, so he's a great player. He wouldn't be on all those watch lists and everything if he wasn't, but I think he's a really important leader for the team this year, most of all. All the guys kind of look up to him. I mean, I know I do. And so I think, more importantly, he's going to be a really good leader for our team this year and kind of lead us the whole season, so yeah.
Why would you look up to, a defensive player? What is it about him that draws people in?
Yeah, I mean, being a defensive player, I don't think that has anything to do with it. But he's a great player, and he's just a good guy. When he talks, he says things that, you might not want to hear all the time, but he says things that are necessary and that you respect him most of all.
I guess just to kick things off, you want to tell us about your summer, anything that you did?
Yeah, so I went to Buffalo, New York for my second period break. Got to see my mom, got to see my stepdad, and then I went back home to Dallas. Saw my whole family, trained there for a little bit, and then came right back here and got back with the team.
And with the team so far, I know y'all are just couple weeks in to practice. How have you seen this year's team so far just meshing together?
So I think the biggest question mark meshing together-wise was the offense, just having everybody back and available and seeing who was going to be, the starter, seeing, who's going to step up, seeing, who's going to be the most developed when it came down to right now. And I think that the cool thing about right now with our offense is that everybody's meshing together so well that we can't really choose, who's that's going to be. So I appreciate that. I appreciate our offense coming in and working, and I've seen a lot of development from them for the last few weeks, so it's been cool.
And then now being a senior, has it hit you yet, being a senior?
Well, yeah. So, I'm the super senior type thing, so I felt like a senior last year, so now I just feel old. I just feel around. But, yeah, it's nice. It's fun. Just, taking every day like it's my last because, this is my last season and, this just the realm of football, it could be your last practice every single day. So just taking, the last few days to really ponder and think back that. It's been pretty cool.
And then being a super senior, like you said, in what ways have you seen yourself step up and, kind of guide and lead the guys below you?
Especially on Saturdays, I don't really play as much during the scrimmages, so it gives me an opportunity to coach, and I love coaching. And I think the players surround themselves a little bit to me, and I really appreciate that because I feel like kind of whatever I say, they don't like go by, but they always take it into consideration and use a lot of the stuff that I say. So it's cool for them to see their development through that.
And coaching, is that something you see yourself when you look ahead, or you don't know yet?
Yeah, I would love to. Of course, like being an acquisitions officer, it's cool, but coaching would be something that I would definitely come back and do if they gave me the chance.
We talked to Jaden on Saturday. He said that the Wyoming game last season was kind of when he had an idea that your guys' defense last year was something for real. When was that moment for you, and are you seeing any glimpses of that so far with this team?
Yeah, so honestly, to answer your second question first, I think that this team is better than last year, defensive-wise, just because of the depth that we're bringing back and the people that have played and the time that they played so far, which we didn't really have last year. I think every single starter that we have this year has played a little bit of time, and that's really special. Just like getting on the field and kind of like feeling out and knowing what's going to happen before it happens. But last year, I felt like our defense was going to be that way before the season even started. Like the pieces that we had already glued together, that was pretty cool to see. Just because the development that we had coming into the season was huge. Like it was fundamental for everybody to get some reps under them, but everybody was skilled, everybody was fast, everybody knew, and trusted the guy next to him. And so even going into the first game, I knew that we're going to be pretty special.
You're on quite a few awards watch lists. Just what does that mean to you when you look back at all the hard work put into getting to this point?
It's pretty cool, but I gotta say, like, I guess it does put a little bit of pressure on you. People are always looking at you and looking up to me as a leader, but you make any mistake and it's kind of frowned upon a little bit. So it almost feels like you got to be perfect in things you do, but I think I'm a perfectionist, so it kind of like molds me into being a better person on and off the field. But yeah, it's been special because I know how much hard work I've put in. But I'm hoping that a lot of these other guys get these opportunities to get seen because we deserve it. This whole team, especially the defense, we got a lot of skill on us. So hopefully everybody gets some of this just like being shown a little bit more than they are right now.
Just asked Adam about you. He said that you said a lot of great things. He said that sometimes you say things that people don't necessarily want to hear, but it's really helped the improvement of this team. Can you kind of expand on that side of you as a teammate and a leader on this team?
Yeah, so I used to never be like that. Like I didn't want to step on anybody's toes, especially like in high school. I just wanted everybody to like me. I wanted everybody to get along with me, and you gotta. If I didn't see that this year, I didn't see anybody else like that vocal type of leader. I think we have a bunch of really good leaders when it comes to like follow my lead, follow what I do. I don't think anybody was like really vocal, so I kind of had to step out my comfort zone a little bit, and not yell at people, but I had to get people going. And so it definitely has made me step out of my like comfort zone and boundaries, but I think it's made me a better person. So.
Okay. And finally for me, I know this program has kind of a theme of not caring about what other people from the outside think of them, but for you personally, would you rather have your opponents looking at you guys for the season, would you rather be kind of overlooked, or would you rather have them respect you guys and what you guys have been able to do the last 4 seasons?
I'd rather them respect us, honestly. There's a lot that we've done over the last few seasons, and I feel like we deserve a lot of that respect that we don't get. But I also like that, they don't really respect us because it kind of fuels us a little bit more. So, yeah.
Trey, what parts of your game are you working on this preseason, just gearing up?
Footwork, not wasting any steps, and then running to the ball every single play. Sometimes you get so confident in other guys on the defense, you're like, they got it. But, just getting to the ball every single play, because you never know what can happen during the course of a play. Things can break out at any given time. So just giving your 100% every single play is something that I'm doing every day.
And I know every week is important. You guys are always gearing up towards that next game. But do you have anybody circled on your specific calendar that you're excited to take on this year?
Yeah. So week 3, Utah State, of course. I just feel like that's a little hump that for some reason we haven't been able to get over recently. And, they have some guys on their team now that used to be on this team, and I feel like beating them that week is going to feel really good. We're going to be 1-0 in the Mountain West, and then Boise State, of course. that's probably going to, I'm not looking forward too deep into the season, but that's probably going to be like this big decider. And so that's going to be a big game that we got to buckle down for.
Have you spoken to any of those guys on Utah State or no?
No. No, I have not, but I know I'll chirp a little bit during the game. Yeah.
When you committed here, there were no games scheduled in the state of Texas, right? And now this will be, what, the 5th you're going to play when you guys go to Houston? How fortunate do you feel that you've had all these opportunities to play so close to home?
Oh, man, it's been cool. Every game like that, I have, 30 to 40 people coming. And just like that support kind of, it doesn't really do anything for me on the field. I can't really heal anybody. But just knowing that people are there for me like that and showing support, that's pretty big when it comes to those game days. Got somebody that after the game I can't wait to go hug and see, and really fortunate for that.
And did you make it down to any Texans games when you were growing up?
Shoot, did I? No, I'm not a Texans fan. Cowboys all the way. But thank you. Yeah, so I didn't really get a chance to go see the Texans, but Cowboy Stadium, we played there in high school a lot, so that was always there.
Yeah, were you pretty excited when you saw the New Mexico State game went away and this was the replacement?
Very. New Mexico State, they are Mountain West. No opponent in the Mountain West is an easy win at all by any means. But I think Sam Houston State's going to give us a speed on the edge that is going to get us ready for the week after that. So.
And was your mom on the Today Show over the summer?
She was, yeah.
What was that all about?
So she has an app with my stepdad. It's called Share. Basically, like, how can I describe it quickly? So if you have like a barber chair in your spot that needs to be taken up with space by the day, they call themselves like Airbnb, because if you have any license to be a barber or a hairstylist or practitioner or anything like that, you can go to any place by the day and rent out places in the empty salon chairs. And so you can be in New York just visiting for a weekend and rent out the salon space for that day and then bring in customers and stuff like that. And so they do that all across the globe, and they got a lot of traction, and they ended up on the Today Show. So
did she get to meet Al Roker?
Oh yeah, she did. Yeah, she did. Got a few pictures with everybody in the studio. It was pretty cool to see.
Or was it pretty exciting for the whole family?
Yeah, it was huge for me, just because I come from some really good blood, really strong bloodline, and seeing part of my family doing stuff like that, and kind of just paves the way even more for me. My parents have this thing where you gotta step us up, like you gotta do something better than us. You gotta elevate our legacy, and so that just gives me like more motivation to do things on my end. So it's cool.
And the reputation you've earned, with all these preseason things, that means something at the safety position, because obviously decisions are made from quarterbacks. Do you think you're going to see fewer opportunities this year, especially with the ball in the air? And if so, do you think you guys are in good hands with Jaden Goodwin on the other side?
No, actually. I feel like they might test me more. I feel like they have a healthy respect for, that type of stuff, but at the same time, like, it's college football. Like, they're gonna test you every single play, and you can't act like just because you get a few accolades that you can take plays off, because that's exactly when they'll attack you. And you just gotta be ready for every single play. So I know they're gonna attack me. I know they're gonna try to prove or disprove anything that the Falcons have going for them, and so we'll be ready.
And can last year's success defensively be a curse at all? I mean, if you guys do have some slip-ups early, and the numbers don't reflect it, can it be one of those things like when a no-hitter's lost late in the game, sometimes things go downhill real fast? Like, do you have to guard against that, or do you guys just have enough collective confidence because of that you know who you are and that'll carry through?
I think we have more confidence now, and that's what's gonna carry us through. I think everybody on the defense, especially that's played already, they know what they're capable of, and we have a strong defense, especially a strong front seven that's gonna be able to handle business. And I know they know what they're doing. They trust each other that's next to them, and that's all we need.
Okay. And what are you seeing on the corners? Because those are new guys.
They are new. Corey Collins, believe in him with my whole heart. He's going to do his thing over there on that corner. And then we don't really have a certified CB2. But we did get Zion Kelly back, and I know that he's going to perform. We got Jamari and we got T. Will, and I know all those three guys are going to rotate in a little bit, but at the same time, they're all capable of doing exactly what we need to get done to win. So,
And so acquisitions officer, what's the base and kind of what's the plan after graduation? Because I assume you're going to give football a try. So do you know kind of the mechanics of what'll happen?
yeah, so my base would be in Boston, Massachusetts. But if the NFL did work out for me, hopefully I get drafted. If not, hopefully free agency. But going along those lines, take some time off from the military. They'll give me, an extended leave, and I'll just follow those dreams for as long as they carry me for. And then the day that's over with, I'll be back in the military as a second lieutenant.
Okay. And I know you're working on speed. I think you maybe worked out with the track team for a while. Did you improve those numbers to where, when you do start measuring, or maybe you've measured recently, will you stack up pretty well for your position?
Oh yeah. So the 40s that we ran just a few weeks ago, well, I guess right before the summer, those went really well for me. I was really happy with my numbers, and track just gave me a different level of confidence in my speed. They showed me what I can work on the off time while I'm in football. And one thing I'm really confident in is my top speed. It's a start that I can keep working on, but I think my top speed is where I want it right now. So just gotta keep on working on that, and I'll be ready to perform when that time comes.
What was the 40?
Okay, so hand time is 4:47, so not bad. But coach, the coaches are a little a little faster, slowing the clock. So we'll see when it comes down to that laser. But excited for that.
How excited are you going to be when that opener gets here and you get to, go play football again?
Shoot, I'm so excited. These last few weeks, they've been kind of hard just because we're not really looking towards an opponent. It's been nice because we're just building our team up and getting everybody's feet back under them. But during those weeks when you actually are, game planning against an opponent, against somebody you're going to be able to compete with, it's exciting, and it gets my butterflies going again, and I miss that feeling. So I can't wait for that.
Cool.
How about those alternate uniforms?
Oh yes, those are beautiful. I don't really know who facilitated that, but they need to raise because I love that all white. It's really pretty. And the chrome helmet brings everything together. So I'm excited to wear that. I don't really know when we're gonna wear it, but fingers crossed it's navy, and okay, that's gonna be number one. And then Boise State, I would love to wear that to finish out the season against them. So we'll see.